Today, volatile trading on Wall Street, stocks, commodities and bonds all selling off. The crypto market lost $1 trillion in value at one point. And blowout earnings at Target as shoppers flooded back. Its sales went up way in the last quarter and profit jumped sevenfold. And nearly half of parents who want to find childcare this summer will have to finance it through debt. What can parents do to minimize it? That and much more coming up on NTD Business. Good evening, great to have you with us. A wild day on the stock market today. Major indexes hit their session lows in morning trade, but did partially recover by closing. The Dow fell 165 points, close to 0.5%. S&P 500 lost 12 points, about 1/3%. The Nasdaq dropped just 4 points today. Bank stocks were among the biggest decliners. Energy stocks also falling as crude oil prices slipped 3.5% for the day. And the rout spilled over into the crypto world. Bitcoin was down 25% at one point. Ethereum too posted its biggest one-day loss in more than a year. Elon Musk's favorite meme coin, Dogecoin, it's down around 24% for the day. The value of the crypto market overall was down nearly $1 trillion during the day, but did recover a little later. The sell-off caused major crypto platforms like Coinbase, CoinDesk, and Binance to suspend some services. They were restored later. They would probably needed time to liquidate collateral that traders had borrowed against. Yesterday, China did ban its financial institutions from providing cryptocurrency services. Several industry organizations said virtual currencies are not supported by real value and warned against what it calls speculative trading. Daniel IKEA is the chief economist for the Tressis hedge fund, managing $6 billion in assets. He said it was a stressful day. Asked him what he thinks sparked off the sell-off.
I think that what we have seen is a combination of a number of things. The first thing was we knew that valuations were very elevated. Reaction of stocks to a very good earnings season was quite subdued, and that already tells you that a lot has been already discounted. And the combination of rising inflation with a market that was buying into the transitory effect mentioned by the Fed and the low risk, etc. So it has created an almost perfect storm. There's an old saying in the buy side that says, "Sell in May and go away." Well, in April we already had the high valuations, very optimistic estimates of growth and recovery, very optimistic views about monetary policy remaining extremely loose, even with rising inflation, and suddenly the whole picture has been sort of rocked by a larger figure of inflation and more concerns that this may not be a short-term base effect, as a few people were saying.
Bitcoin had a really tumultuous time the last few days or weeks. What do you think is happening here?
Cryptocurrencies are not immune to margin calls. And we need to understand that cryptocurrencies are extremely volatile. We have said it numerous times, you and I, and we need to understand that there's a thing called the law of gravity, that cryptocurrencies cannot just go up at massive percentages every year. What I find fascinating is that the same people that said that Bitcoin was a bubble at $7,000 are saying that it's collapsing at 38,000. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to understand that these are startup currencies, that they are not reserve of value yet, that they are not yet real currencies with widespread utilization and that are accepted globally as units of measure. They're in the process, and that process is a bumpy one. It has always been, no? And they behave like very aggressive startup financial assets, very volatile.
We go to the real gold. It was probably the only asset that held up today. You think it's been performing quite well over the last couple of weeks. What do you put it down to?
Well, again, we have been talking for a while about the lack of logic of the weakness in gold in an environment of insane monetary policy, and because it was fundamentally financing very aggressive bets on the recovery and on very optimistic views about the global macroeconomic picture. I think that what is happening right now is a very quick unwinding of an aggressive short gold, long growth, long value stocks trade, no, that benefited from the combination of recovery and inflation, no. So I think that what we're seeing is that we are seeing I think that an interesting thing in markets right now is that bets are extremely concentrated. We have too many consensus bets, and once they reach very high levels of valuation very quickly. Gold is proven to be that asset that actually works in an environment in which the other risky assets, which are very correlated, equities, bonds, even cryptocurrencies, etc., when those roll over, gold does help as an asset that actually is decorrelated and that works as a reserve of value.
Daniel Akai addresses. And the Federal Reserve released its April meeting minutes today. Officials still think the record low interest rate is the best policy for now, but did say some officials think if the economy shows rapid progress, it would be appropriate at some point to taper its asset purchases. The next meeting will be on June 15th and 16th. With companies beating expectations left, right and center, Target isn't going to be left behind. It's recovered from a tough year and seems to be firing on all cylinders. NTD's Jasmina Davis has the details.
Target sales jumped 23% in the first quarter. It's yet another company beating analyst estimates, making $24 billion in revenue, $2 billion more than projected.
We've seen an enthusiastic return to in-store shopping. Guests are happy to come back to our stores because they love the environment we've created.
Over 95% of sales came from physical stores, largely because it fulfills online orders there. Also, sales of Target's own private label brands grew 36% in the first quarter.
The strongest increase we've ever recorded. Because of our unique capabilities in product design, development, and sourcing, our own brand products offer an unbeatable combination of design, quality, and value.
Early in the pandemic, Target's profits went on a skydive, and costs rose as staff took on additional cleanup tasks. Now they are on track to invest around $4 billion in improving its customer experience this year. Jasmina Davis, NTD News.
And good news for Lowe shareholders too. Its total net sales jumped 24% in the first quarter. The buying boom was expected to slow last quarter, but Lowe says stimulus checks in March boosted demand. Data from Refinitiv shows a surge in lumber prices also helped same-store sales rise in the first quarter and beat analyst estimates. Lowe's chief financial officer says the company anticipates a modest shift in spending away from home improvement as the economy reopens. Many parents might have trouble enjoying the summer season this year. Almost half who want to find childcare will have to finance it with debt. So, if that's what it takes, what's the best way to do it? NTD's Evelyn Lee found out.
For many parents, the summer figuring out how to pay for childcare will be anything but a vacation.
We found that the average parent who's paying for summer childcare is paying about $834 per child on average. During the school year, it's almost that much every single month. So over that 10-month school year, we're talking an average of about $7,500. So these are big costs, and again, that's just the average for one child.
A Bankrate survey found that 45% of parents who plan to pay for childcare this summer will finance it with credit card debt. Rossman says credit card debt remains very expensive, but he has some advice.
So a tip specific to credit cards is see if you can get a 0% introductory APR or 0% balance transfer credit card. It's still debt, but you'll have a lot more flexibility to pay it off
Throughout the pandemic, childcare and virtual schooling had a big impact on many family incomes. More than half of parents with children under 18 said they had to change work hours or quit a job to better care for their child.
And this is a burden that has fallen primarily on women. We've actually seen the labor force participation rate among women drop to a level that we really haven't seen since the 1980s.
He says that could leave lasting effects on parents, like reduced wages and delayed promotions. He suggests trying to get creative so you don't have to quit.
Can you negotiate something with your employer? Can you stagger schedules with your spouse? Can you get help from family members, friends, neighbors, older siblings? Are there things you can do to make this work without necessarily taking on a lot of childcare expense, or looking into local churches, nonprofits, YMCA?
This way, he says, parents can make it work without taking on a lot of expense. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
Maybe you're hoping to get out of the country this summer. Europe? Well, Italy, France, and some other countries are loosening the restrictions for Americans as long as you're vaccinated.
The Council will now recommend that member states ease some of the current restrictions, in particular for those vaccinated with a new alpha-REST vaccine.
Apparently, there will be a list of safe countries, and they'll let in fully vaccinated tourists from elsewhere. The United States would not meet the entry criteria, but Americans with proof of vaccination could enter. Individual countries would still be able to demand a negative virus test or a period of quarantine. And starting today, New York is adopting the CDC's virus and social distancing guidelines. That means no more mask mandate or 6-foot social distancing rules if you're fully vaccinated. Walmart says it won't ask you to wear a mask entering the store since it's not mandatory. But what about small businesses? Greg Barilla is the New York director of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. Asked them what they're going to do.
Our understanding, and this is very initial, the governor's office announced on Monday that they would be adopting CDC guidance, and we didn't see state guidance out of New York State until today. Our interpretation initially, and we're obviously hoping to clarify some of this, but that for a lot of different types of small businesses, there will not be a requirement to verify vaccination on their part to follow CDC guidance. There will be a quote unquote sort of honor system structure, which is beneficial for a number of reasons. One, it's the easiest and simplest to apply and comply with for small businesses, and it doesn't put them in the unfortunate position of being a gatekeeper. I don't think small businesses are looking to hire bouncers at the door to be checking and verifying vaccinations at every turn. So we are hopeful that this is a positive step in a better direction for a lot of small businesses trying to reopen and return employees, sales, and operations to their small businesses.
Yeah, I was curious how this would work exactly if they had to check if everybody was vaccinated as they come in the door. So,
in certain settings, large gatherings, it appears that might be the case, but our understanding is that for a lot of different small business applications, it will be sort of an honor system.
How big a deal is this for small businesses? How big a deal are these masks, et cetera? You think they're really keeping people away?
I think the capacity restrictions combined with the 6-foot social distancing rule was the larger problem. At the end of the day, a restaurant, a fitness boutique, retail, you can only fit so many people in your specific space. So when you are required to keep people 6 feet apart, you can only get so many customers in at one time. Hopefully, and it's our belief that with these new loosening of some of those restrictions, that it does give a lot of small businesses at least some better options on how to operate and how many customers they can have at any given time.
So is there anything left to do? What's the next steps towards reopening? There's still restrictions on a lot of different types of operations, particularly those that are density-based or have a large number of people, events, entertainment, things like that. But obviously, seeing this first step with the New York State adopting CDC guidance and really providing some options for small businesses, it's really welcome news as we come into a part of the year
where a lot of businesses make their money over the summer months. And, they are seasonal in nature. So it's incredibly important for them to be able to grow and prosper during the summer season.
Greg Barilla, NFIB. And France reopened restaurant and cafe terraces, museums, cinemas and other businesses today. The French are hopeful of an economic rebound after the third lockdown. NTD's Joy Duguid takes us there.
French cafes and restaurants resumed serving customers on Wednesday. For this Parisian, the world felt a little more normal. He was back at his favourite cafe, drinking his morning coffee and eating a croissant.
I come here even during the weekends, really early in the morning, to enjoy the quiet time. So I was definitely looking forward to getting back to my old life and the person I was before.
Others were also happy to regain some normality.
I woke up in a good mood this morning, even though I have a long day of work ahead of me. I'm happy I'll be seeing my friends tonight in Paris. We'll get back to our normal life, our youth.
The French finance minister had his morning coffee as well.
It's the beginning of a return to normalcy, a gradual reopening of all businesses, all restaurants, all hotels. And I think it's good to take it step by step.
Non-essential retail outlets and other businesses also reopened on Wednesday. It's the first time in 6 weeks. At the Printemps department store, shoppers browse through the goods.
I've been missing this for more than a month. Even if we buy nothing, to see people, to see the collections, to have some contact again with the outside world.
Economists estimate the latest lockdown had caused much less disruption than the previous two. Still, even if the French return in droves to cafes and stores, as their owners hope, many remain wary about the lingering impact of the crisis.
The United States is delaying a ban on trading Chinese stocks that have ties to the Chinese military. The new restrictions will now take effect on June 11th, that's 2 weeks after the original date. The original investment ban was signed by President Trump last November. The Biden administration is extending the grace period for investors to comply. A senior official says the administration remains deeply concerned about the issue. It seeks to craft a stronger policy to prohibit U.S. investment in Chinese military, intelligence, and other security apparatuses. At least 8 Chinese companies have been restricted, but one of them, cell phone maker Xiaomi, it filed a lawsuit in response. The Defense Department then agreed to remove it from the list last week. And Uniqlo is the latest brand in trouble over cotton from China's western Xinjiang region. Customs documents show that the U.S. blocked imports of some shirts back in January. It was over concerns it violated a ban on cotton products from Xinjiang. There's growing evidence of forced labor there. The document shows that one shipment was impounded at the port of Los Angeles in January. Uniqlo's parent company protested the move, but it didn't work. Fast Retailing said it was disappointed by the U.S. Customs ruling. And Apple will soon be storing the data of its Chinese users with a company owned by the Chinese regime. The move is raising questions about whether the data will be safe. NTD's Patrick Hayden has the details.
Apple, the self-styled privacy advocate, has been giving in to the demands of the Chinese regime. The New York Times published an expose about it Monday. The report says Apple is preparing to store its Chinese customer data at a center run by a Chinese state-owned company. Last year, Apple transferred legal ownership of its Chinese user data to Guizhou Cloud Big Data. The report says the Chinese regime forced Apple to abandon the encryption technology it uses everywhere else and store the digital keys that unlock the information in the same center. With the keys in China too, it likely means the Chinese Communist Party will be able to access the data, a regime that excessively monitors and persecutes dissidents and defenders of human rights. Apple claims it doesn't compromise user security in China or anywhere else. The report also found the iPhone maker is aggressively censoring apps to avoid upsetting Chinese regulators. Apple is expected to start storing its Chinese data in the new data centers in June. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
Still to come this evening. Peloton releases a software update to fix its treadmills which were linked to multiple injuries. So how will the update help improve safety? And IKEA recycles products in an effort to go green. One location in Sweden is attracting thrifty customers and collectors. More on that after this short break.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Does it mean exposing the deadly fentanyl crisis in the Midwest? Or spending late nights and covering deep government corruption? Does it mean persevering over 20 years? Even after 4 masked men set one of our printing presses on fire last year. Because at a time when America's traditional values are under attack, it's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
Peloton is rolling out a software update to its treadmills that forces users to lock them when not in use. It comes after the company recalled 125,000 treadmills earlier this month following a child's death. 70 other injuries tied to the machines had also been reported. The new software includes a feature called Tread Lock. Users will have to enter a 4-digit code before the treadmill can be used. The equipment will then lock automatically after 45 seconds of inactivity. Owners can always just return the treadmills, though, for refunds. Those refunds are expected to cost the company some $50 million. That's in addition to the $165 million loss Peloton has already faced by halting new treadmill sales. And attention car enthusiasts, well, at least extremely rich ones, Lamborghini is going electric, well, sort of. It says every model it offers will be a plug-in hybrid by 2024. Plug-in hybrids carry smaller batteries that can power shorter all-electric trips. They also contain combustion hybrid engines for when that range runs out or when drivers want extra power. Going fully electric poses challenges for luxury sports cars because they have to be light and low to the ground. Right now, batteries are too heavy to support that without performance taking a hit. That's why the only purely electric luxury sports cars available today are from startups and not traditional manufacturers. Lamborghini is developing a fully electric car, but it'll be a 4-seater, not a 2-seat sports car. And a small city in southern Sweden is adopting different ways of going green. Recently, one of the world's largest furniture retailers stepped up to help. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the story.
This mall in Sweden is not your average shopping center. It's home to a recycling center and features shops that only sell second-hand goods. Most come from donations. It opened in 2015, and now you can even find IKEA's famous blue and yellow logo there. Opened less than 6 months ago, this IKEA store is also unique. The location only sells refurbished IKEA products, already assembled.
The goal is really to learn about how we can take back our own furniture, make them ready for a next life, and then again find the next customer who can continue loving it.
Initially, the store relied on goods from the city's recycling plant, next door to the shopping mall. But soon, the home furniture store had enough demand to start bringing in goods from further away. Customers vary, from the thrifters to collectors, seeking pieces of furniture no longer available in most stores. The oldest item they've had dates back to the 1960s.
IKEA's ambition is to be climate positive in 2030, and to do so we need to learn a lot and we need to innovate a lot. And this is one great innovation lab for us to relearn how we can support the prolongation of our products.
A key component of the operation takes place in this back room. There, products are inspected, refurbished, and prepared for sale. Most pieces can be fixed with a deep clean and some polishing, but others need sanding and painting. The goal here isn't to open second-hand IKEA stores worldwide, but instead to integrate sustainability into the retailer's business model. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
That's the latest business updates for today. You can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie at Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't miss out on important news. Our videos are being deleted. So if you don't want to be cut off from honest news, take a moment to sign up for our newsletter at newsletter.ntd.com so you don't lose access to NTD. Go to newsletter.ntd.com to sign up for our evening newsletter.